Recording in progress.
So what we are talking about is, so in the last class, I said about, some selectors we have seen like combinators or rational selectors. And after that, we have seen some styles. And within that, I said about two styles here. One is a border style and one more is one is a border style and one more is, that's it. And today we'll talk about, now I said there are different other selectors are there and these are classified into different categories based on their behavior. Now one is a combinator is there and there is one pseudo selector is there and one more is a pseudo elements. So we'll talk about the pseudo elements today, right? And then we'll see positions, right? How to position the elements within the web page by using CSS. So next what I'm talking about is pseudo elements is there. Okay. Pseudo selectors are there and one more is pseudo elements. So the pseudo element is a keyword actually. Keyword that allows you to style. It provides some keywords. So the pseudo elements are what here? Keywords. See, there is a keywords like after, there is a keyword called before, there's a keyword called first letter, there's a keyword called first line, there's a keyword called which one? Selection. So pseudo elements are nothing but what here? Keywords. Okay. Now these are the keywords which are used to style. Okay. So the pseudo elements is a keywords. These are the keywords that allows you to style any particular part of HTML element. So generally pseudo elements are used for inline. It is used for what here? Inline elements. With the help of pseudo elements, you can style any particular line or word or even first letter of any word. So with the help of pseudo elements, you can style any particular line, word, or even first letter of any word. Now the pseudo element starts with the double colon, right? It is started with what? Double colon. Suppose if you see this is one pseudo element, which is a keyword, right? And this is started with a double colon, and the keyword or element name is what? After. And there is a double colon, and what is the keyword? Before, right? So what is the syntax of this is, now there is a selector, and it followed by double colon, and it followed by pseudo element. Then you define the property, and it followed by value. So which property you want to change it? You just define the property name and along with what here? Value. One minute. Visible? Students? Dear students, visible? Are bolo here. Visible, no? No. For not online here, offline students. పైకి వెళ్ళిపోయింది. అది అది కనిపించదు కదా. పైది కనిపించదు. పైది పోతుంది. పైది కనిపిస్తుంది. పైది పోతుంది. పెట్ట చేస్తారు. So okay, right. So what we are doing is, so here now we are talking about pseudo elements, and each pseudo element is represented as one keyword, right? So these are the keywords, and this is one syntax. Now the syntax of pseudo element is, now there is a selector. Okay, there is a selector, and it followed by pseudo element. But generally, these pseudo elements are used with inline. Inline means, I said, this can be used for line or word or even first letter of word, any word. So for that, you are trying to use which elements? Pseudo elements, right? For example, there is a pseudo element called which one? After. So there is a selector and it followed by pseudo element. Okay. And it is having some properties. See, property and it followed by value. So property of which one here? Selector. And property of a tag. Property of a tag. For example, if you take CSS, now there is a pseudo element called which one? After. Suppose using this after, I want to add some text. For example, using this after, I want to add some text within one line. I want to add some text within one line. Then how can I add a text within one line? So for that, you'll be using one CSS property called which one? Content. You'll be using one CSS property called which one? Content. See here. So the pseudo element after is used to add some extra content or image. Add some extra content or what? Image. Apart from static, if you want to add some extra content or image, after the existing content, The user can add the content with the help of CSS property called which one? Content. And its default display value is inline. Inline means within the same line, right? Inline. For example, assume that now this is a syntax. So there is an HTML element name or selector, and it followed by which one? After, and open the block, and content equal to what here? Value. Content equal to value. Suppose there is an HTML element called paragraph. For example, there is a HTML element called which one? Paragraph. So paragraph at the end, suppose paragraph after paragraph, and I said here after, and it followed by the content, and it followed by which one? Value. Suppose assume that there is a paragraph. Okay, this is a paragraph, or there are two headings. Otherwise, there are two headings. So there is a heading called H1. Now this is a first heading, and this is which heading here? Second heading. Now what I want to do is, I want to insert one content, or I want to add one content, or I want to add a content in which element here? H1 element. After. After means what here? At the end. After means what here? At the end. At the end, I want to add one content. And what is the content I want to add? Heading. I want to add the content. And what is the content I'm adding? Heading. And this heading content color is what here? Red. Suppose this is a H1. Okay, this is a H1. This is a bit selector, element selector. And for this element, after means at the end, I try to insert one content. And what is the content I'm inserting? Heading, right? So H1. Now this is my first. See, this is my first. But at the end of this H1 element, it will insert one content. And what is the content it insert? Heading. Now you can insert the content, or you can insert what? Image. You can insert the content, or you can insert the image. Now this content can be inserted as what? Image. It means this, you are separating it. See, the content which you want to add it. See, the content which you want to add it, that you are separating it. The content which you want to add it, you are separating that content. You are separating that content from what? Header. It means that content might be changes. The content might change. Whenever there is a change, you try to do changes within what? Style. But rather than doing changes in what? H1. Rather than doing changes in what? H1. Right? Assume that. Okay, suppose. Okay, assume that now this is H1, and after this header 1 after. Now actually this is my first. This is my first. And this is my second heading, and this is my first. I want to add one content here. But this content is added as what here? Text. Now once you run this, now you can see. So the content is added. And what is the content is added here? Heading. But how this content is added? By using one element, by using one pseudo element. And what is the name of that pseudo element? After. What is the name of that pseudo element? After. It means the content which is fixed, that content you can write directly in what? H1. But the content which is, assume that the content which might be various, then that I define it. I define it as one style here. Okay. But what I'm saying? H1. And what is the name of the pseudo element? After. What content you want to insert? Heading. What image you want to insert? That image URL you have to define. Image URL you have to define. And then you define other properties of that content. Suppose if any changes in the content, will you do changes in every place of H1? Will you do changes in every place of H1? No. You do changes in which one? Style. You directly do the changes in what? Style. So maintaining your code becomes what? Easy. Suppose there is another H1 is there. There is another H1 is there. Now where I'm saying this is my, okay, suppose third. I said third. There is one more H1 is there. Okay, this is my, what is this here? Fourth. right? So are you inserting this heading in how many places? You are inserting this heading in how many places? 3 places. But if any changes in heading, will you do changes in 3 places, sir? No. You do changes in which one? Style. You do changes in what here? Style. Now, once you run this, you can see heading, and what? Heading, right? So maintaining the things becomes what here? Easy. So for that, you are using a pseudo element called which one? After. So there is a after, and there is also which one? Before. Okay. After there is after and there is a before. Now the before pseudo element is used to add some extra content or what? Image. Again, before existing content, the user can add content with the help of what? CSS content property, and its default display value is what? Inline. A default display value is what here? Inline. And display the value inline. Now, what is the syntax? Again, you're writing HTML element or selector, and what is the pseudo element here? Before. Now you are inserting this value before. Okay, what is the property? Content. What is the property? Content, and it followed by which one? Value. Content, it followed by the value. For example, if you see this, now there is H1 and there is what here? Pseudo element. What is the pseudo element here? Before. And the content. And what is the content you are inserting? Hello. But where it is inserted? Before header or not? Yes. Now here, hello, this is my first heading, right? Wherever H1 is there, that element is added the content. What content it is added? Hello. But before heading or after heading? Before heading. It will add, not after heading, it will add before heading. For example, yes. Yes, just try to understand this. Now, once you run this, now you can see hello. Now, this is first heading. Now, can you have number of headings or not? Yes. Suppose H1. I try to repeat this H1 and again H1, again H1 and again H1. So, for every element of H1, before it will add the content called which one? Hello. Again, see hello. If any changes in this before that do changes inside which one? Style, right? So that is called as which one here? Before. That is called as the before. Okay. And there is one more pseudo element is there. And what is that pseudo element is? First letter. So first letter pseudo element. Now first letter of the paragraph or first letter of the word, particular word. Okay. So the first letter pseudo element is used to style the first letter of a particular word or the first letter of the first word within a sentence. Within the sentence or within the paragraph. Within the sentence or within the paragraph. Now the CSS properties that are set out using which element? First letter element. First letter. Okay, what do you call it as? Element, or it is called as a what is that? Keyword, right? Applicable only when the sentence or a word not preceded by other content such as image or inline tables. It is not preceded by images and what? Inline tables. Then only this first letter work. Otherwise, this first letter doesn't work. For example, now this is a syntax. What you are writing? HTML element or selector, and it followed by pseudo element name. What is the name of this? First letter. So define the property along with what? Value. Now if you see this first letter, now first letter of header, I want in some color. Which color I've taken? Some red color, right? FF. So this is full of red and then 0, 0 and 0. But in header, first letter, I want first letter should be in which color? Red. Then I just write H1 first letter. Now if you want to define one more style, you can also define one more style. Okay. Yes. You can also define one more style. And what I'm saying H2. What I'm writing H2 colon and colon. H2 and colon and colon. Yes, H2. So colon and colon, I just write here, first letter, and then, yes. So color, I just define hash. Okay, 00 FF and 0 and 0. So this is given in which format? Hexadecimal format. This is given in which format? Hexadecimal format. You can select either element tag. You can select either element tag or any other selector also you can use it. So not only this, okay, not only what do you call it as element selector, any selector you can use it. Like you can use a group selector, you can use universal selector, you can use what? Class selector, or you can use which one? ID selector. But here I'm using which selector? Element selector or tag selector. Here I'm using which selector? Element selector or tag selector. Now which element you are styling? H1. But H1 before what content you are inserting? Hello. And that content you are inserting in what? Color. So wherever H1 element is there, it will insert the content with the hello and with the color word red. Right? Yes. Very simple. But you should know, you should aware of all these selectors, right? How to style it. Now see here. So there is a two selectors are there. One is element selectors, one is H1 and one more is what? H2. And it followed by pseudo element. It followed by which one? Pseudo element. And this pseudo element is represented as what? Keyword. And what is the name of this keyword? First letter. Now what will happen if I run this? So what will happen if I run this? Where is it? First letter. Not given extensions. So once you run this, now the first letter of heading 1 is in which color? Red. And first letter of header 2 is in which color? Green, right? So that you can do it by using first letter. First letter is there, and one more is CSS. There is one more element is there, and what is that element is? First line. First line is there, but first line is belongs to what? Paragraph. First line is belongs to what? Paragraph, or it is belongs to a single sentence, right? Yes. So the first line pseudo element allows us to style the first line of a paragraph or a single sentence. A single sentence. One thing is always keeps in mind where while using colon first line pseudo element is that the length of the line depends on the factors such as font size, the width of the element, and the width of which one? Document. See here, what you're doing it. So the first line pseudo element allows us to style the first line of what? Paragraph. So once you style, see, first line of the paragraph or a single sentence, whenever you are using this first line, whenever you are using first line pseudo element, that the length of the line depends on many factors. Because suppose if you are changing the font size, first line font size, if you are changing, then what will happen? The length of the line get either increased, or the line size is increased, or the line size is what? Decreased. Line size might be font size, and one more is width of the element, and width of which one? Document. Getting on it? Because what you are doing, you are trying to style first line of the paragraph. Styling is nothing but what do you do it? Either you apply the border, either you apply what? Font size, you increase the font size, or you define the font color, you change the font. Okay, a lot of styles you put it, right? But when you apply this, what will happen? The size of the line, the length of the line is completely depends on which one? Font size, or it depends on what? Width of the element. Width of the element. Suppose division is there. Okay, now division width is defined. But once you style the paragraph, first line, suppose width of the division is less than or width of the division is fit within the content. Content is fit within the division. Now, once you style it, what will happen? The content move outside which one? Division. Getting or not? So you have to see these particular factors like font size, and second one is the width of the element and the width of the document content, right? And how you write this? You just write HTML element and it followed by selector, and you are saying colon. What is this here? First line of the paragraph. Okay, so I said paragraph. What is this here? First line. Every paragraph, first line, I want some background color. Okay, background color, and it followed by which one? Font size. First line of every paragraph. So whenever you are using a paragraph, whenever you are using what? Paragraph. Yes. Whenever you are using the paragraph, so first line of that particular paragraph, background is set. First line of that paragraph, background is what here? Set. Now this is first line pseudo element allows us to style the first line paragraph in single sentence. Now suppose I take one more paragraph. Okay, I take one more paragraph. Yes. So this is one more paragraph. This is one. Oh. Yeah, this is one more paragraph. Now the first line of this paragraph is style or not? Yes. I define the background color of some yellow and font size I have defined as what? 20 pixels, right? And you can also, now what you can apply? You can apply which one? Border. Can you apply border or not? Yes. Border style. Border style. Now you can apply the border or not? Yes. Border. First line of this border. I want which one? Dotted. Right? So every paragraph, first line is. Every paragraph, first line is. Right? What I meant. Just close all this. So I said border style. I need to define the border width. Right? Yes. But this is applicable to. Okay. This is applicable to all the lines or only first line? First line. Only the first line, right? But you have to define the border color. What we define here? Background color, font size. Oh, sorry. So we applied. What we applied here? Background color. And what we applied here? Font size. Okay. Yes, border color also we have to do. So background color is given as well as what? Font size. Border means you have to apply all here. Border and border style and border color. Okay. So because of border color is not defined but not displayed. But there is one more CSS and one more is there. What is that pseudo element is? Selection is there. Now selection pseudo element changes the styling of the web page content whenever users select the particular area or drag the mouse over it. Now see here. Selection is there. Now selection pseudo element changes styling of the web page content whenever users select the particular area or drag the mouse over it. So in that case, you go for which one? Selection. Whenever user drags or whenever user moves, okay, cursor to a particular place within the web page, right? Or content whenever users select the particular area and drag mouse over it, then what will happen? The style you are trying to change it. For example, you are saying colon, you have to give what name here? Select, what is it? You have to select, you have to give the tag name. You have to give the tag name or element name or it followed by selector here. This is a syntax here. What is the syntax is? You have to use element, or you have to use which one? Selector. And then followed by selection, then followed by which one? Property, and then followed by which one? Value. So there is a property, and it followed by which one? Value. Now in this example, now there is one paragraph. In this example, there is one paragraph. Paragraph element is there. So whenever user select or drag the mouse on any word or whole paragraph, then the style of the selected area gets changed with the help of which one? Selection pseudo class or pseudo element. For example, there is a selection here. Okay, there is a selection. Whenever you select, so there is a selection, and what is the font color you are given? Red, and the background color is what? Yellow. So what will happen when I drag mouse on the text? Because selection means text or any word or any sentence. Any word or any sentence, what will happen? The color get changed. The background color get changed, right? So font color get changed to what here? Red, and background color get changed to what? Yellow. But whenever I what? Drag. Whenever I select, when you drag it or when you select it, suppose I say drag the mouse over the paragraph. Suppose I just write here paragraph. Now this is applied to the complete web page or not? Yes. So I'm saying this is first paragraph. Now any website if you take it, suppose some websites, any website if you take it, suppose some Naresh IT dot, but when you drag it, but is it, suppose if you see nareshit.com, okay, if you drag it, is it the color is displayed or not? Yes. But what is this selection? This is called as which one? Selection. Selection background color I've given yellow. But what is the text color I've given? Red. But what is the text color here is given? White. What is the text color is given? White. Now whenever you select, okay, whenever you select, right? Whenever you select, selection based on the selection, right? So where you are trying to do the style, that is a color, and one more is a background. Now can you apply any other styles? Yes, you can also apply other styles. But in this case, I just given the background as yellow and text color as what? Red. So these are different pseudo elements. So these are different pseudo elements here. So how many pseudo elements are there? Yes, 5 are there. One is after, and there is a before, and there is a first letter, and there is a first line, and there is what? Selection, right? So after, it is used for inserting content. After element and before element, and this is first letter, and this is first line, and this is selection. This is after, and this is before, and this is a first letter, and this is first line, and this is what? Selection, right? Then next we'll talk about working with the columns. Okay, let us talk about working with the columns here. Let us see how to work with the columns here. Yes. Now CSS multi-columns, right? So you can divide your page content, the content of your page, into what here? Multiple columns. How can you create multiple columns? How can you create multiple columns, right? Suppose if you take a web page, any web page, okay, now multiple columns. I want multiple columns, right? For example, this is a web page. I want the content of this web page should be in what? Multiple columns. Suppose I want to divide the content of this into multiple columns, right? Here I want to display the content of it, and here I want to display the content, and here I want to display what? Content. I want to divide the content of my page into more than one column. I want to divide into more than one column. Then how can I create multiple columns? How can I create multiple columns? For that, CSS provide one style called which one? Columns. So columns and column count here. Okay. It provide columns by using one property. Yes, CSS multi-column layout is a CSS module that supports multiple column layout. The multi-column layout is used to lay out the content into a set of column boxes, and also specified that, okay, boxes are how to specify specifies that how the content should flow from column to column. The margin between the columns, gap size between the columns, and column rulers and column with their appearance also you can change it. Okay, you can define the spaces between the columns, you can define the margins within the columns, you can also define the rules. Rules between what? Columns, with the help of which one? CSS multi-column style. How to create a multi-columns in CSS? Now to create the CSS multi-column layout, we have to specify the column count property, which specifies the number of columns the element should be divided, right? So column count is there. There is a column count. This property will specify the number of columns the element should be divided. How many columns you wanted? For example, if you see here only, in this, now there is a reference. So where is that columns here? So here you have a columns or not? Yes. If you see columns, one column, two column, three columns left, and one more is what? Right. But even more columns means here you define what? Number of columns. If I want to divide my page content into what? 3 columns, then I can divide by saying which one? 3. So this page content is divided into how many columns? 3 columns. For example, I'm preparing some index. Okay, I'm preparing some index where I want that in how many columns? Multiple columns within the same page. I want multiple columns within the same page. Then how you divide the content of your page into the multiple columns? By using a simple property. And what is the name of the property is column count. By using this column count, you can divide the content of your page into multiple columns. For example, see here, this is CSS multi-column layout. And what is the selector here? Class selector. And what is the name of this? Multi-column. And what is the column count is given here? 3. Okay, now this class selector you apply. This class selector is applied to which one? Paragraph. So this paragraph content you want to divide into how many columns? Multiple columns. This paragraph content you want to divide into how many columns? Multiple columns, right? So what is the name of the selector? Class selector. And what is the name of the property? Column count. And how many columns you are dividing into? 3 columns. Now you are applying this class selector to which one? Paragraph. So this paragraph content is divided into how many columns here? 3 columns, right? 3 columns it divides. Just here. You can also have a span. You can also define margin, right? So gap, that is nothing but space between the columns. Spaces between the columns can be defined by using the column. Now this content is divided into how many columns? 3 columns, right? It is divided into, see here, this is column 1 and this is column 2 and this is what? Column 3. This paragraph content is divided into 3 columns, right? So see here. Yes. Okay, now this is a paragraph. Now see here, I try to divide into 3 columns. Means Is it divided equally or not? Yes. So once this column is full, then it is moved into which one? Array. Once this column is full, then it is moved into which one? Next column. See here, this CSS multi-column layout is a CSS module that supports a multi-column layout. The multi-column layout is used to lay out the content into a set of column boxes and also specifies that how content should be flow from column to column, right? So is it content is moved into a next column or not? Yes. The content is moved from first column to which one? Second column. From first column to second column, right? The content, because it has to be divided how? Equally. The content has to be divided how? Equally. It has to be divided equally. For example, if I'm writing how many columns here? 2 columns. Now this content is divided into how many columns? 2 columns, right? Suppose after this paragraph, I'm just writing this content. Okay. Suppose assume that this is, okay, this is outside. This is outside which one? Paragraph. This is outside the paragraph. Now this content is within or outside outside the paragraph. Now if you run this, is it this is a part of paragraph or outside? Outside. Now let us type more content here. Or I just take the same content. Yes, here I type it outside. And once you run this, now is it this is one paragraph or not? Yes. But is it divided? Is it divided or it is written as one column? Written as a one column. But it should be divided into equal into how many columns? 3 columns. See, dividing is based on the content or not? Yes. For example, I have a less content which is not, I have a less content which cannot be divided into how many columns? 3 columns. Will it divide? No. It will not divide, right? Suppose less content is there. Suppose there is one more paragraph. So this is another paragraph. I'm saying class, and this is, what is the name of this selector? Multi-column is a selector. Yes. This is one more paragraph. I'm just writing. This is multi-column layout. This is multi-column layout. Now, this paragraph is having more content or less content? Is it more content is there or less content is there? Less content. Then will it, this content is divided into 2 columns? Will it divide this equal into 2 columns or it is displayed in 1 column only? Displayed in how many columns here? 1 column. When it is divided, if the content is what? More. Then it divides equal into how many columns? 2. Suppose, assume that this is layout, this is CSS layout. And again I write CSS layout. Again I write CSS layout, right? Then if I run this, now this is fit in 1 column or not? Yes. Then again I move into the next line. This is layout, and this is layout, and this is what? Layout. Now that is based on, that is based on the content, what you're displaying it or not. Yes. You can also define the number of lines in each column. You can also define the number of lines in what? Each column. Suppose here I'm writing. So column count is given what? 3. So how many columns you are dividing into? 3 columns. You are dividing into how many columns? 3 columns. And you can also define how many lines you want each column, and you also define the gap between what? Columns. How can you define the gap between the columns? And that can be done by using column gap. Now the CSS multi-column allows us to specify the gap between the multiple columns. We can set the size of the gap between the multiple columns of an element using the column gap property. Now you can define column gap property so that you define how much space between, how much space you want between column. How much space you want between the columns, right? So I just write here some 10 pixels, right? So what will happen in this case? Now the space is decreased or not? Yes. For example, if I give number of spaces, okay, here I just write So 20 pixels, is it space is increased or not? Yes. Not only that, you also define column. Column which one? Rule. Rule means you want one rule, right? You want one rule between the columns. So that can be defined by using column rule. Where is a column rule? Okay, color. Okay, right? Array. Column rule means if you want one line, so column rule also you can define. Yes. So the multi-column layout, yes. Now you can also define the rule here. So column rule, column gap, and column rule, solid blank. But what happened? Column rule, 5 pixels. You can write in 2. So column rule is there. You can write directly. You can write directly. So we'll just check. Yeah, this is what do you call it as here? Rule. I mean, if you want to put some rule, you can write directly here. Column rule. So column so column rule color. So I just define the color in which I want the rule, right? So this is a rule, right? So if you want to define the rule between the columns, that you can define it by using which one? Column rule here, right? So now that is the rule, and you can also define column rules. Now these are nothing but the CSS multi-column layout allows us to add vertical line between the multiple columns of the element by using which one? Column rule property. This property is a shortened property of a column rule star for setting the width, style, and color of the rule using single property. Okay, what you can do? You can just use column rule, and you can just define column you can just use a property called which one? Star for applying how many column width, style, as well as which one? Color. Width, style, as well as color, right? So this CSS width as well as what here? Color. Now all this you can define it by using which one? Column rules. But how can you divide the content? How can you divide the content of your web page into multiple columns? And that can be done. So that can be done by using which one? Column count. Yeah, this one you understood how to divide into multiple columns or not? Yes, this you can call it as which layout? Column layout. This is called as which layout? Column layout. Column layout means, for example, see, a simple example. Now even you can have a column span also. You can have a column span. For example, yes, we'll just write. Now we can have even column span. Now you can also have a column span. Okay. When you're writing multiple columns, and if you want to combine, for example, if you want to combine, you can combine multiple columns by using which one here? Column span. Now we can span the columns of the elements using column span property. So the element that span more than one column are called spanning elements. For example, say how many columns you are dividing into 3 columns. And the column gap is given how many pixels? 60, and given column rule. And there is a heading is there. Heading 2 is there. Now you want to write heading 2 by spanning how many columns? By combining how many columns? All the columns. Is how many columns out there? 3 columns. Heading 2, you want to write it by spanning how many columns? How many columns? 3 columns. Because you are trying to divide. You are trying to divide the content of division. See here. You are trying to divide the content of division into how many columns? You are trying to divide the content of division into how many columns? 3 columns. Suppose if I am writing heading, within the division, this heading is taken as first column or not? Yes. But I want to span, means I want to combine all these 3 columns and I want to put as what? Heading. Then how can you span all these columns? You can span all these columns by just using one property called which one? Column span. And you are saying what here? All. Otherwise, it will divide even heading into what? 3 columns. Otherwise, this heading also divided into how many columns? 3 columns. Remember this. Suppose spanning is merging, right? And yes, spanning all the columns. Now, if you see this, yeah, this is useful. This content display into multiple columns is very much useful if you are trying to put a large content in one page. You want to put large content into one page. Then how you put large content into one page? By dividing into multiple columns. Okay, suppose, see this one. So it is multi-column layout. Now once you run this, now can you see this? This is CSS multi-column layout. But is it exceeded this column or not? Yes. But even though, this is column, it is a part of column? No. Because we display the heading by spanning how many columns here? 3 columns. Suppose if you don't write this, heading 2, yes, if you don't write this, what will happen? It will take the heading 2 as a part of which column? First column. It is taking heading 2 as a part of which column? First column. Yes or no? But I want this heading to be displayed by combining how many columns? 3 columns. By spanning how many columns? 3 columns. Then you are writing, what you are writing? Heading 2, and column span is what here? All. In this case, what will happen? Is it this heading is displayed by combining how many columns? 3 columns and represented as one individual or not? Yes. Spanning is nothing but merging. Spanning is nothing but what here? Merging it. Right? So that is CSS multi-column layout. Right? Now you can merge the columns, and that can be done by using which one? Column span. Column span. Right? For example, now CSS multi-column layout. Now suppose I want to create one page where I want to explain about which one? CSS. I want to write some content belongs to what? CSS. Okay, CSS. And how many columns? I'm dividing this content into 3 columns equally. And column gap is given. Heading is given. Now heading. Now this is division. And here I'm just writing CSS. Okay, CSS. I just write the heading as what? CSS. Right? So after that, I just write the heading as what here? CSS. And then in first column, this is a column, right? Heading. And then next is what? First column. In first column, what I'm doing? I'm trying to insert one image. I try to insert one image. And what is that image I want to insert is CSS image. I want to insert one image. And what is that image I want to insert is Okay, CSS image. I want to insert CSS image, right? Okay, assume that some CSS image. Okay, so save image, and I'm trying to save the image in Web3 and images, and this is what here, CSS image dot JPG, right? CSS image dot JPG. It is there in which folder? Images folder. So it is there in which folder? Images, and CSS image dot JPG. Okay, right. So I try to insert what here? Image. Now once you run this, now you can see, once you run this, now you can see there is one image inserted or not? Yes. What you can do, you can define, but it's inserted as, it is inserted as one, or it is inserted as one column. It is inserted as one column. And what you can do, you can define the width of the image. You can define the width of the image, right? It is in pixels. You can define the width of the image, and you can define the height of the image, right? So now this is the image which is displayed. We'll still reduce it. Now this is 100 and comma, and the width is 100 and height is also taken 100, right? So this is the image. This is the image, and this image, is it image and is continue with the text or not? Yes. If you want to span, can you span this or not? Yes. How can you span the image? By using which one? Image. And here you can say column. Column what? Span. Column span. Column span. Column span. Column span. I want to span how many columns here? 3 columns. 3 columns, or I can just give what? All. 3 columns, or I can just give what here? All, right? So this is CSS, and this is what here? Image. But this is started in the new column or not? Yes. That you can find out once you insert what? Line break. But until you don't insert, you don't find that line break. Or how many columns? Image. IMG. So what is the name of the tag? IMG, right? Right. So I said column span. How many columns are spanned here? 3 columns, right? Column span. Now this is H2 and there is a image. And you can keep on typing which one here? Content. And this content is divided into how many columns? 3 columns. See, whatever content you want to display within the, see, this is image. Can you display this image any other column or not? Yes. Suppose I don't want to span it. Then you can insert as a part of which one? If you don't want to span it, then you can insert as a part of which one? You can make it as inline or not? Yes. You can make it as inline. Inline means, suppose I just write here, assume that the multi-column layout is used to, now here I want to insert what? Image. Here I want to insert the image. Okay, here I want to insert what? Image. But where the image is inserted in the between the text or not? Yes. Now you can see CSS multi-column layout is used. Module support the multi-column layout. The multi-column layout is used to layout. Now this is inserted image as inline or not? Yes. But we'll see how to fill this gap. Because I want this text to be started from here or not? Yes. Because, yes, text to be started here or not? Yes. But we inserted image as inline or not? Yes. Because of that, so this image width and height is how much? 200 and 100 and 100. Because of that, is it space? There is a space between these two, this line and what is this here? This line. But if you want this text to be started from here, then what do you do it? You try to set some properties of which one? Image. You try to set some properties belongs to what? Image. But you can insert image as a part of your text, right? Yes. But just try to understand how to divide the content into what? Multiple columns. To divide, because this column layout is also used in developing what? Web page. Column layout also used in developing web page. Then next is display is there. So there is a display here, multi-column, and CSS display property is there. Now CSS display property is one more most used property that controls the layout of which one? HTML elements, right? CSS display property, this is one more property which is used to control, okay, to control the layout of the HTML elements, and this property specifies how the HTML elements are going to display on a web page. How you want to display the HTML elements on the web page. The web page consider every HTML element like division, paragraph, and one more is what? Heading. Suppose, now already I said, suppose I want to create divisions horizontally. I want to create the divisions what? Vertically. How you want to organize or how you want to display the elements. How you want to display the elements within the web page. And that is defined by using which property? Display property. Getting on not? How you want to display the elements within the HTML. That is defined by which property? Display property. The web page consider every HTML element like division, paragraph, heading, rectangular box or CSS display property help to set out the positions of these boxes. It can be division or it can be heading or it can be what? Paragraph. Anything where you want to display the flow of or displaying of elements, anything, image or anything. So that you define it by using which property? Display property. Display, it followed by which one? Value. Before that display value, now you have to use which one? Selector. Which selector you use it? Element selector, ID selector, right? So there are several, there are different values assigned to which property? Display property. You assign different values to which property? Display property. First one is called as inline and second one is called as which one? None. Third one is called as which one? Block. And fourth one is which one? Inline block. So how many properties are there? Display. 4 properties are there. One is inline and second one is what? None. And third one is what? Block. Fourth one is in block. Inline block. Suppose if you see the previous example, like so there is a text. We inserted image, right? Where the image is inserted inline or not? Yes. For example, divisions are there. Divisions. When I divide, for example, if I create number of divisions, suppose assume that I created number of divisions, content, I divided into a number of divisions, right? So the content, so inline, generally inline will display how, yes, what I'm talking about is inline only. The inline display value sets out the element as an inline element, which means that elements are placed how? Side by side within a line that is called as which one? Horizontally. So this property provides only as much space as any element needed. The height and width, top bottom margin property are not accepted by the HTML element whenever the display inline property is specified for that element. Why? Because can you define the positions? No, because inline itself is what? Inline itself is positioning or not? Yes. But how it will position one by one based on the equal width and what? Height. See here, the height and width, top bottom, see the height, width, top bottom margins properties are not accepted by the HTML element whenever the display inline property is specified for that element. What is the meaning of this? For example, there are three divisions out there. This is a division, right? This is a division and display. These divisions you are displaying in what? Inline. All these divisions you are displaying inline. And what is the height of the each division? 120. What is the width of the each division? 100. And what is the text color here? What is the text color here? White. And what is the background color of this? What is the background color of this division? Black. Now this is one division, right? Okay, I try to place number of divisions. Assume that this is one division, which is called as a box 1, and this is a box 2, and this is a box 3. But are you define any margins? No, you have not defined any margins here. When you are working with this, when you are working with the inline, the height, width, top, bottom margins properties are not accepted by HTML element. HTML element not accepted by HTML elements. Now, what is this here? Division. And within the division, you are typing the text. What is the text you typed here? Box 1, and this is box 2, and this is box 3, and this is what? Box 4. But how these boxes are organized? Is it horizontally or vertically? How these boxes are organized? Inline means horizontally or vertically? Horizontally. How these boxes are organized? Horizontally or vertically? Horizontally. Now once I run this, you can see the box 1, and this is a box 2, and this is a box 3, and this is what here? Box 4. Even though you define what? Or even though you define what? Height is there and width is given, right? Height is given as what? 120. Suppose I change the height from 120 to what? 200. What is a 200 here? Height. Height of the each division. But is it applied or not applied? Not applied. Why? Because all these are what? Inline. Inline. Now that is based on the content. See, based on the content. Based on the content. Suppose I try to define the width. I try to define the width as what again? 200. So height is given 200 and width also given how much? 200. But is it set up? No. Is it applied or not applied? Not applied. So why? Because it is inline. It is organized how? Horizontally, 1 by 1. That is based on which one? Content. Content is there. For example, so this is a division. Box 1, I just type again. So this is a content horizontal. When it reaches to the end, automatically it will move to what? Next slide. Right? Now this is a box 1, box 1. Now how it is? Is it content based on the content? Is it based on the content? Is it placed or not? Yes. Inline. Now this is a first box and this is a second box and this is what? Third box. Content. Based on the content. Suppose I write here box 1. I give the line break. Yes, just here. So here I taken how many divisions? 3 divisions. Means each division is 1 box. But all these divisions are displayed how? Inline. All these divisions are displayed how? Inline, because are you given line break or not? Yes. You are given line break. So because this is having how many lines? 3 lines. But this is having how many lines? 1 line. And this is also having how many lines? 1 line. Right? 1 line. But this width and height is applied or not applied? Not applied. See, width and height is not applied when you are trying to select the display as what? Inline. When you try to display as what? Inline. Inline means same line. How it is organized in which one? Sequentially. Box 1, box 2, and box 3, and one more is what? Box 4. Box 1, box 2, box 3, and box 4. How many boxes here? I selected here 4. Box 1, box 2, box 3, and box 4. Right? Not only that, there is one more is there. So there is inline, number of properties out there. In inline, number of properties out there. Okay. What is it? Another property is, so there is inline is there. And one more is, there is another property which is called as what? None. So there is a property called inline and there is a property called which one? None. So the CSS display none value removes the HTML element, also does not display any blank space at the space or at the place of removed element. For example, there is a box 1, there is a box 2, there is a box 3, and there is a box 4 is there. But I removed box 2. I want to remove box 2, but I want to keep that element. Removing box 2 is nothing but, will you remove this division tag? No, you don't remove the division tag, but you make display as what? None. When you say division, this division display as none. Is it this division is displayed or not displayed? Not displayed. But is it that division is exist as a part of page or not? Yes. The division is exist as a part of page, but is it that division is displayed or not displayed? Not displayed. When you make the division display property as what here? None. So inline means the same line or horizontally. Same line or horizontally. Same line or horizontally. Suppose I just remove display as what now? Inline. I removed inline. Yes. I removed inline. Okay now. If I removed inline, you can see how it is. Is it width and height is applied or not applied? Width and height is applied or not applied? Applied. But how it is? Horizontally or vertically? Vertically. Is it horizontally or vertically? Vertically. But if I'm saying, suppose if I'm writing display, so there's a property display. How you want to display? Okay, I said inline. Okay, I just write here as inline, right? So how it is displayed in? Horizontally. But width and height is applied or not applied? Not applied. But width and height is based on, generally width and height is based on content. Width and height is based on content, right? Suppose if I'm saying display inline, but there is a display. Now you want to display these divisions inline, means horizontally. Okay. For example, display, if I'm saying none, if I'm saying display none, what I said here? None, display none. Is it these divisions are displayed or not displayed? See, I said display none. When I say display none, is it these boxes are displayed or not displayed? Not displayed. These boxes are not displayed here. Is it displayed or not displayed? Not displayed. But is it a part of your page or not? Yes. But is it displayed or not displayed? Not displayed. But you may display it based on your requirement or not? Yes. Runtime by writing the code in JavaScript. Getting on dynamically, can you able to display these divisions or not? Yes. But you can off the divisions by using which one? Display equal to none. For example, so I have a different selectors or their ID selector I'll take, because I want one division to be displayed and one division should not be displayed. Then I use here some class 1, class 2, like this. So there is a class 1 and what is that? Class 2. So class 1, so height is given and width is given, color is given, font size and text alignment. And there is a class 2 and display equal to what? None. It means what is it default display is there here? No. If you don't define the display, how these divisions are displayed? Vertically or horizontally? Vertically. How it is displayed? Vertically. But if you want horizontally, then use display equal display value as a inline. Inline, right? You display as a inline. Suppose assume that you have a different divisions. Division class and class 1, style background color is given, and this is box 1, and this is division class 2, box 2 is given. Okay, class 2, what is this class selector? Class 2 display property is what? Class 2 display property is what? None. Class 2 display property is what? None. But is it this box is displayed or not displayed? Not displayed. Because the display property of this class 2 is what? None. Right? Yes. But is it other divisions are displayed or not displayed? Displayed. Other divisions are displayed. Other divisions are displayed here. Right? Yes. Now once you run this, you can see the box 1, box 3 and box 4. But box 2, none. Box 2 is what? None. If you want to display in future, then what do you do it? Or display. Display where? Will it define the property? Yeah. If you define the property as inline, then what will happen? If I say inline, then what will happen? Displayed inline or not? Yes. This is a box 2 because is it vertical inline? But is it all these divisions in the same line or not? Yes. Because of that it is displayed. You can also define. But if it is inline, can you define the width and height? No. Can you define? You can define other things here. Some, what is this? Background color. Yes. You can take some text color like this. Okay. Okay. Right. So this is called as which one? Inline. Now this is a box 2. But this is make it as how it is? None. If I write display is what? None. It is not. Now there are other display values out there. There are number of display values out there. If you see display, what is there here? Block. And second one is a contents. And next one is a flex and flex box, flow root, grid, inline block, inline flex box, inline what? Table and list items. Means you are trying to display in different, yes, display in different formats or in different styles. You are trying to display in what? Different styles. But in this, I'll try to tell you. Yes. Now there is one more display is there. Okay, there is one more display is there. And what is the name of the display is? This is inline and one more is which one? None. And there is one more display which is called as a block. So block means, now the name itself is what here? Block. Block means don't say block, right? So within the block. Okay, within the block, inline block. Block is there and inline block is there. But how to work with this? Like a block and one more is which one? Inline block. We'll discuss this. Block and inline block and other displays. And after that, we'll see pseudo class. There's one more is there. What is that? Pseudo class. And then we'll talk about display is not over. Okay, display is not over. Then we'll talk about margins and we'll talk about padding and we'll see how to place the elements in a specific positions within the web page. But not today, but maybe tomorrow we'll see that. Okay, how to work with other displays like block.